and well, as usual, on our children's Friday night at the I'm unmuted now. Now I can start the whole introduction again. As usual, at the World Storytelling Cafe on Friday evening, it's children's evening. And we've had a wonderful selection, and we are going to have a wonderful selection of children's tellers. They do other things, but on Friday nights, they're children's tellers. And tonight, we have one of my favorites. He has told to children in fields with me all over the universe. So please, and a special welcome, of course, to Little Miracles. Hello, Little Miracles.
Hello,
Whoa.
Little Miracles.
There we go. So please, can you stomp, shout, throw your parents' hair in the air, and welcome Chip and his fantastic stories. Go for it,
Hello.
Chip. Oh.
Oh, wow. It's so lovely to see you all here at the World Storytelling Cafe. And, oh, they have just changed it so I can't see you anymore. That always happens. I get it all set up, and then Yuliu goes and presses a button, and I lose you all. There we go. I've got you back now. I am so sorry that I am looking so red today. I think it's because I've left my toaster on too long and it's managed to heat up the entire house. But if I look okay to you, then that's cool. Do I look about as red as John's hat? No, not quite John's hat stage yet then? Okay, then we're good to go. Well, as John said, I am Chip. Do you know what? I never knew I was one of his favorite storytellers. That's great to hear because he's one of my favorites too. It must be something about when you tell stories together all over the fields of the universe. It's really, really great doing that. But this is one of the best places to be right now because you're here. And so the story that we have right now is going to be the story that you absolutely love. I can promise you that. This is going to be a story that you will absolutely love. If you are here in the World Storytelling Cafe right now, it's going to be a story that you are gonna really love. Of course, if you're watching this on the interweb at worldstorytellingcafe.com or on the Facebook or the YouTube or wherever else this video is, make sure you come here. You can do that by going to worldstorytellingcafe.com and clicking on join meeting, and then you can be right here with me in the cafe right now to make sure this is a story you are going to love. Of course, that does give me a problem. There are a few faces here that I recognize, but some of you I haven't seen before. If you haven't seen me before, can you just give me a wave? Oh gosh, there are some of you who haven't seen me either. Quite a few of you, actually. I'm getting some nice big thumbs up as well. So if I'm going to make sure that this is a story all of you are going to love, I'm going to need your help choosing it, aren't I? I'm going to need to have your help picking this story. And the way we're going to do this is quite simple, really. I need you all to move to that side of your camera, just so I can see what that side is to most of you. Okay. So if you move to that side of the camera for me, nearly all of you are going in the same direction, apart from, who's that? Is it Karen? Yeah, you folks are going the opposite direction to everybody else, which is probably because your camera's flipped or everyone else's camera's flipped. I'm not sure. Oh, actually, there's somebody else. Is that Lewis? Lewis, I think you're you're going, oh, Louis, sorry, you're going the opposite direction to everybody as well. Maybe again, because of the camera flipping, but you don't have to worry about that. Okay, that's for me to know and for me to deal with. Okay, so that direction, is that your right? Give me a thumbs up if that is your right.
It's your left. This is our right. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm getting a thumbs up from some people. Oh, I'm getting some shaking heads actually. It's funny because even though you went that way, for me, it's your left, is it? Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so this is going to be fun. I need to know that as well. Okie dokie. And nod your head or give me a thumbs up if that is your left. Okay, I'm getting some thumbs down from people. Okay, right. But this is really, really good to know, because what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to go right or left to help me choose the story. Now, the story that we have this evening, it could be an adventure story, or it could be a cunning story. I would like you to choose, okay?
Adventure story.
So, oh, you don't need to tell me anything. You can even have your microphones on mute for the moment if you like. All you need to do is go that way if you want an adventure story, and that way if you want a clever story. So it's right for adventure, left for clever. And if I'm right, that means Sam and Co, you are going to the clever side. Is that right? Oh, no, you're going to adventure side, are you? Oh, okay. So that is your right side. Have you switched it round for me? So that way is for adventure for you, is it? Okay, I'm really confused now. So that way is your left, is it? Okay, so if you are wanting adventure, go left for adventure. Do you know what? I think I'm going to take a cue from who's that? Is that Mayo and Max? Yeah, it is. Okay, you have got a really good idea there. You were sort of pointing. Okay, so if you are wanting adventure, just point for me to the left, like that. Good. Keep your hands like that then if you're wanting adventure. If you're wanting clever, let me see your hands pointing the other way. Okay. So I think, is it Karen's lot there? Are you wanting clever? Or are you wanting adventure?
Adventure.
Oh, you're wanting, so you're going that way, okay. Is there no one here who wants clever? Oh, brilliant. That's fantastic. We're all in agreement. We can all have an adventure story. And that's cool then. That means I know that this is going to be a story that all of you are absolutely going to love. And it's a story that starts a long time ago. Really, a long time ago. Like a long time ago. That's how far back it was. It was a time when pretty much every single animal in the entire world lived on a huge land that was completely flat and completely grey. This land had no trees, no hills, no cliffs or anything like that. Didn't have any ponds or anything like that. It was just a big rolling expanse of grey grass. And on that grass lived all of the animals who were around back then. And of course, because they lived on this land that was big and flat and grey, every single one of those animals was bored.
Was it the Lorax that you're talking about?
All the way back then, yeah. They were there too. It was so boring. They were bored, bored, bored. Bored, 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 bored. Bored, 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 bored. Bored, 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 bored. They had absolutely nothing to do. They couldn't go running up a hill and rolling down it. Who of you have done that? Have you rolled down a hill? Yeah, loads of people here rolled down hills, but they couldn't do that because there weren't any. And they couldn't go diving into ponds. Who here has been splashing around in a swimming pool or a pond? Yeah, a few of you have. Yeah, well, they couldn't do that because there weren't any of that. Who here has climbed a tree? Yeah, loads of you have, but they couldn't because there weren't any. They couldn't do anything like that. And they were stuck right there on this land. The only animals who weren't stuck were the birds because they could fly away. And they were able to fly all the way over the waters. And they came back. They came back with news of another land, a land which had mountains and waterfalls and berries of all different color of the rainbow that tasted sweet like honey on the tongue. And when they brought back the news of that place, all of the other animals who lived on that big flat and grey land they were bored and jealous. Bored and jealous of all the birds flying away to this other world where there were mountains and waterfalls and berries of all different colors that tasted sweet like honey on the tongue. And so the animals were desperate to get off their big flat land and go and see this place that the birds were talking about. But how could they get there? They didn't have any ponds or swimming pools to practice swimming. There was one animal who had an idea, a very small animal, a small animal that looked a little bit like a bear, but with very tiny ears and a very tiny pokey nose. A really tiny pokey nose. Anybody know what sort of animal I'm talking about? Looks a bit like a bear, but with tiny ears and a pokey nose.
A mouse?
It's a good guess. It's a bit bigger than a mouse, though. It's a really good guess.
Hamster?
A rat. A rat.
Yeah, a rat or a hamster. These are all brilliant guesses, but it was a bit bigger than that. I'm talking about a koala. Have you all seen koalas with the teeny tiny ears and the pokey noses?
Yep. Yes,
Yeah, I'm seeing some people with smiles. Maybe you haven't seen a koala with teeny tiny ears and a pokey nose. Yeah. Is that Amy who's laughing?
Amy?
Is it Amy? Oh, it's someone who's watching on Amy's iPad who is laughing. Is that because you don't believe that koalas have teeny tiny ears and pokey noses? Well, this koala did. And this koala spoke to all of the other animals on that land and said to them, I've got an idea. Why don't we go and ask Whale if we can borrow his canoe? He's got a canoe that's really, really huge. We could all fit in it. He's a giant, so he's got this massive canoe. Why don't we go and ask Whale if we can borrow his canoe, and then we could row to that land with the mountains and the waterfalls and the berries of all different colors that taste sweet like honey, on the tongue. And when Koala said that, all of the other animals laughed. Honestly, really? Koala, you are absolutely bonkers if you think that Whale is going to let us borrow his canoe. There is no way he would do that. Whale is a great big giant who spends all of his time lounging on the beach, grumbling and looking really, really grumpy. He's not going to let us borrow his canoe, not in a month of Sundays, not in a year of Sundays, not in a century of all the Sundays you can eat is Whale going to let us borrow his canoe. Would you be put off by that? I'm seeing a few heads that are shaking. I'm seeing a few koalas out there here in the World Storytelling Cafe. Well, Koala wasn't put off either. Koala decided that she might as well try. She went down to the beach where Whale was lying down, and Whale was a great big giant of a man. He was lying there on the sand with the water just lapping up over his neck, and he was very grumpy. The whole time he was lying there twitching, itching, scratching. And as Koala came up, she started to get a little bit less sure of herself. But she'd come this far, so she thought she might as well keep going. Excuse me. Whale, could we please borrow your canoe so that we can go to the land with the mountains and the waterfalls and the berries of all different colors of the rainbow that taste sweet like honey, on the tongue? A Whale sat there or lay there on the sand, twitching, scratching, and he said, "Oh no, you no take my canoe." Well, turned out all of the other animals had been right. Koala felt a little bit disappointed. I can see the disappointment in some of your faces here at the Storytelling Cafe as well. Yeah. She turned, she sighed, she started to walk away. But as she walked away, she heard a teeny tiny voice coming from the water. A voice that said, "Psst, hey, wait, don't go anywhere. Come here, listen to this." It was the voice of a fish who was pretty good friends with Koala. This fish was absolutely straight and flat, a little bit like a bar of chocolate. And that's why they called him Barfish. And Barfish was calling over to Koala going, "Here, come over here. Let me tell you a secret." Barfish. One moment. I've got a whale in my throat. That's better. Barfish had a secret to tell Koala. And that secret was that Barfish knew exactly why Whale was so grumpy. You see, there were all of these teeny tiny little creatures called barnacles that like to live on Whale. They were so small that Whale hardly knew that they were there. Certainly couldn't see them, except they would always be nibbling at the skin of Whale. So he was always itching. And this meant that he never ever got any sleep. Do you get grumpy if you don't have sleep? Yeah, getting loads of nods for that one. I get extremely grumpy when I don't have any sleep. Not as much as my dad. He gets very grumpy when he doesn't have any sleep, but it makes you really grumpy, doesn't it, if you don't get any sleep? So that's maybe why Whale was so grumpy. And Koala thought about this and thought that maybe if she could get those barnacles off from Whale, then he would be so full of all the sleep that he hadn't had that he would conk out, he would go to sleep, and then they could take the canoe. They could slip away with the canoe with all of the other animals on the land and go to that new world with the mountains and the waterfalls and the berries of all different colors of the rainbow that tasted sweet like honey. On the tongue. Do you think that sounds like a good idea? Do you think the animals should try it? All right then. Koala took the idea to all of the other animals on that land, and they quite liked it too. Then Koala went down to the beach with Barfish, and the two of them went over to Whale and said, "Good Whale, you are our friend, and we can see that you don't even know what ails you. You've got all these little barnacles on you, and they are nibbling at you and making you all itchy, and you can't get any sleep. We would like to get them off you. If you will let us, we will do this absolutely free." Well, Whale, being a really grumpy giant, was quite happy with people doing things for him for free. So he lay back as Koala got onto his back with a nice big stick and started scratching off the barnacles that were on his back. And underneath Whale, Barfish swam and started eating all of the barnacles that were on Whale's belly, because Barfish quite liked a juicy barnacle. He was eating away at them while there was Koala scratching away. And as they did this, Whale was finally able to relax, just like I can see some of you doing, lying there on your side, just like Whale was. He lay back. Ooh. And he started to drift off to sleep. Well, while Koala was scratching and Barfish was nibbling, all of the other animals snuck in to Whale's canoe. They got inside, they grabbed hold of the oars, and they began to row. Now, all of you folks who are here with me right now, you can grab hold of your oars and you can help the animals along here. You can even choose to be an animal if you like. Think about how an animal might row. Maybe you could have a go at being a kangaroo or an ostrich with a really long neck. Or maybe you could have a go at being one of the mice or the rats that you were talking about earlier. Just grab hold of an oar and start to row. That's it. Let's get this canoe moving away so we can all go to that land with the mountains and the waterfalls and the berries of all different colors of the rainbow that taste sweet like honey on the tongue. Off went the animals, rowing and rowing. And as they did, the water of the sea began to wave a little bit. And as it waved, this meant that Whale was starting to rock as he drifted off to sleep. The rocking woke Whale up. It wasn't usual for the waves to get so choppy. He looked around to see why there were so many waves, and of course, straight away, he saw his canoe with all of you animals on board. And he cried, "Oh no! You no take my canoe!" Whale was about to go diving off after all of the animals in his canoe. And remember, he was a giant. He would be able to catch up with you quickly and easily. And Koala knew this. So Koala took the stick that she had been using to scratch Whale's back and stabbed him right there in the middle of his back. And then Whale, with the pain, rocked back on the beach, while Koala dived off and started swimming towards the canoe. I can see all of you are still rowing on right now, aren't you? That's it. Keep rowing, because you've got to get away from Whale now. You might want to row a little bit faster than that. But of course, Koala was swimming to catch up with you, swimming as fast as her little berry legs could take her. Whale, though, back on the beach, ripped the stick out from his back and called out, "Oh no! You no take my canoe!" And he also began swimming after the canoe. Yeah, I can see you rowing even faster now. You want to get rowing really, really fast. But don't forget poor Koala. Koala's there swimming madly away, trying to catch up with you. So slow down a little bit. Slow down so that Koala can catch up. Thank you very much. Koala was able to get to the edge of the canoe and reach out for her friends, just as Whale burst out from the water and grabbed hold of her ears. He pulled on her ears, but Koala kept hold of that side of the boat. Still, Whale pulled and pulled and pulled and pulled until Koala's ears were getting huge. Just like the koalas that I think you folks might have seen. But just then, somebody else you may have forgotten about came swimming around Whale's belly. Who do you think that is? Who might we have forgotten about?
A fish.
That's right, Barfish. Barfish went swimming underneath Whale's belly and started to go. Well, of course, this meant that Whale was laughing so much he had to let go of Koala. And Koala went flying forward onto the canoe and bashed her nose. Now, her nose was really small and flat, just like most of the koalas that I think you folks were thinking of earlier. And so there was Koala on the canoe with all of her friends rowing and rowing away, just like you folks are doing. But Whale grabbed hold of Barfish and ripped him off his belly. He started to stretch Barfish until Barfish had a big part poking out here, and another big part poking out here, and another part poking out here, and another part poking out here. And Barfish was no longer a barfish. He was a starfish. And Whale threw the starfish out into the sea. Then he turned back to the others and cried, "Oh no! You not take my canoe!" But it was too late. The other animals had managed to make it to that new land, the land with the mountains and the waterfalls and the berries of all different colors of the rainbow that tasted sweet like honey on the tongue. That land was the land that we now call Australia. And as soon as Koala got there, Koala went running up the trees because Whale soon caught up. And ever since that day, Whale has swum in big circles around Australia, blowing water through the hole that Koala put in his back, desperate for a chance to get his revenge. But as long as Koala stays up in the trees, she and all of the other animals can live pretty happily for the rest of their lives. Fantastic. Give yourselves a round of applause for all the rowing you did in that story. Yeah, and all the help that you gave as well. I saw a few of you counting off the berries of all the different colors of the rainbow that tasted sweet like honey. On the tongue. Did you enjoy the story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you helped us to find it. And the great thing about that story, probably the best thing about that story, is that it's finished in time for me to tell you another one. Would you like another one?
Yes, please.
Oh, John says yes. I'm getting nods from a few others. Yep, I'm getting thumbs as well. Yep, I think that's a nod. So you're lying on your side. So yeah, that looks like a nod. Okay, excellent. All right then. Well then, I shall share with you another story. But do you want to have a story that's a bit the same, or do you want something completely different? Let's see what we have here. Let's do the pointing thing again. If you want something that is a bit the same, you quite like that one and you want some more, then point that way, which I think is to your left. And if you want something that is completely different, point the other way, which I think is to your right. Okay. So what I can see, I think, is that everybody wants something completely different. Am I right? Yeah. No one's arguing with me. Oh, is that Maya and Max? So are you wanting something completely different? I can't hear you. So if you are wanting something different. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, then we will have something completely different. We will have a story that starts all the way up in space. A story where there were two people who lived in this story. One was called the Sun. Have you heard of them? Anyone here heard of the Sun? Oh, a few of you have. Excellent. Yeah, the Sun's pretty famous around the world, actually. The other hero of this story was a lovely, beautiful woman called the Moon. Have you heard of the Moon? Yeah, a few of you have. Excellent. Well, then you already know the heroes of my story. But one thing you maybe didn't know was that a long time ago, a really long time ago, a hugely long... Don't worry, I'm not going to do that again. But just let's say it was longer ago than the last story. The Sun really, really fancied the Moon. The Sun thought the Moon would make a wonderful girlfriend. No. The Sun thought the Moon would make a wonderful fiance. No. The Sun thought the Moon would make a beautiful, brilliant, dazzling wife. The Sun so wanted to marry the Moon. The Moon, though, well, she wasn't quite feeling the same. She did quite like the Sun. I mean, they were good friends. They both lived in the same part of space. And, well, she did think that the Sun was kind of hot, but she didn't really see him as husband material. She liked him as a friend, and that was about it, really. So one day, when the Sun came to the Moon and said, Will you marry me? The moon didn't want to say yes. But it was a bit of a struggle, a bit of a tricky one, because she knew that if she said no, then the sun would be brokenhearted, and that might spoil their friendship. So what she really needed was a way to say no without actually saying no. And I'm sure some of you here at the cafe, you've been in that sort of position before, haven't you? Where you kind of want to say no to someone, but no sounds a little bit too harsh. So you want to kind of sweeten it a little bit, don't you? So the moon thought about this, and then she said to the sun, okay, I will marry you only after you have brought me something to wear that fits me perfectly. Well, the sun was really happy about this. He was really excited. He was finally going to get to marry the beauty of his dreams, the angel of his life, the apple of his eye, which I've never understood. If someone knows that and can explain it to me afterwards, then great. But he was so happy. All he had to do was find something for her to wear that fit her perfectly. So he got out a tape measure and he measured the moon's size. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. She was a size 10. He just needed to get something for her to wear that was exactly size 10. Now I see we've got quite a few experts here at the cafe, way more expert than me as to what it is women actually wear. So I wonder if there's anyone there who can just suggest something that the sun might go out and buy the moon to wear. Yeah, go on then, Maya and Max. I can't hear you though, so we might need to ask you perhaps to unmute your microphone. Oh, Max is unmuting.
A hat.
A hat. A hat. Oh, that would be lovely, wouldn't it? So a hat for the moon to wear. A hat that is exactly size 10. Do you think you folks can remember that? Can you remember size 10? If it helps, you can put some fingers up like this, or if some of you got some pens or paper nearby, just jot down 10 so that we don't forget size 10. Okay, we need a hat that is size 10. And oh, one thing I didn't tell you was that the sun is magical. The sun could use his magic to make anything out of anything. So of course he could use anything he liked to make this hat, absolutely anything in the world. He went flying around the world looking at all of the forests and the flowers and the mountains. He started to think, what sort of gems, what sort of plants could he use to make this hat? Can any of you think of what he could use to make this hat? What's he going to use? A plant, a flower, a material?
Ribbon?
Ribbon, someone's saying. Ribbon, yeah, that sounds like a good one, doesn't it? What colour ribbon?
Green.
Green, a green ribbon. So nice green ribbon to make this hat. Of course, for the sun's magic to work, he needed a magic spell. So let's see, we're going to need a rhyming word because all magic spells have rhyming words. Maybe we could have a word that rhymes with hat. Can anybody think of a word that rhymes with hat?
Cat.
Cat. What made you think of that? Oh, and someone else suggested bat, did they? Was it bat that you said? Yeah. Bat, vat. There are lots of words that rhyme with hat, actually, aren't there?
Hat.
Well, I tell you what. Since is it Karen who suggested the green ribbon? Yeah, or at least someone using Karen's camera. Then we'll take Amy's idea of the bat. Was a bat, wasn't it? Yeah. And we'll use that as our rhyming word. So we know we've got bat, we know we've got hat, and we know we've got green ribbon. And we've got to make a hat which is exactly size
10.
10. Thank you. Sorry, my memory is terrible. So the sun started to wiggle his fingers over this big pile of green ribbon. And he said, faster than the flight of the fastest bat, turn this green ribbon into a size 10 hat. And poof, just like that, there before the sun was a size 10 hat made of green ribbon. And knowing that this was going to fit the moon perfectly, the sun took it all the way back to her. And he presented it to her to try on. Really, really weirdly, when the moon put the hat on, it slipped off. It was too big. And the sun was a bit confused by this. He got out his tape measure and measured the hat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, it was a size 10 hat. Then he got out the tape measure and measured the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, which of you told me 10?
Ray.
I asked you to remember 8, didn't I? 8 is the size of the moon. The tape measure doesn't lie, folks. That's what the tape measure has said. 8 is the magic number, okay? You need to remember 8. Can you do that? Can you remember 8?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, fantastic. So we got the number 8 in our minds now. And the sun, obviously, he couldn't marry the moon yet. He was going to have to go and find something else for her to wear that would be exactly size 8. So let's pick something different this time, just to mix it up a little bit. What
a
else
yellow dress.
do
A yellow
women
dress.
wear?
With a
Oh,
tiara.
I'm hearing dress. Who's suggesting dress?
Me and Lauren.
You and Lauren.
We could add a tiara with
Or a dress with a tiara as well. That would be extra fancy, wouldn't
like
it?
a white tiara.
Let's take a
with
dress then.
blue
We'll see if we can get a size 8 dress. And for this dress, we can again use anything in the world. I mean, we've used green ribbons, but if you wanted to, you could have used stone, you could have used gold, you could have used Marmite. You could have chosen absolutely anything in the world to make this dress. And let's pick something that's a bit different from green ribbon this time. What would you like to use?
Gold. Fur. Gold.
Cheese.
Gosh, I'm getting lots and lots of different choices now, so I might have to pick someone. So Karen, I think you gave us an idea last time. And is it Lauren who's with you?
Yes.
And what was it that Lauren was shouting out?
Gold.
Gold. So you'd quite like it to be a gold dress, would you? Okay, that's useful. Okay, we'll go with that. If we're going to take a magic spell to turn this gold into a dress, we're going to need a rhyming word. So who can give me a word that rhymes with dress? That was not as easy as hat, is it?
Mess.
Oh, mess. Who said that? Lots of people did by the sounds of it.
Mess.
Mess, huh? Okay, let's go with mess then. So we'll have the sun gathering up all of this gold, and he's got to make a dress which is exactly what size?
8.
8. Excellent. 8. Thank you very much. So he began to wiggle his fingers, just like some of you are doing right now. And he said, "This gold right now is a big pile of mess, but with my magic will be a size 8 dress." And poof, just like that, it was a dress that was exactly size 8. So he took it all the way to the moon to show to her it did look pretty smart, I must admit. And of course, to top it off, there was a little gold tiara at the top as well, with some shining crystals in it, which, yep, Max, that was the perfect addition. Thank you very much. But the weird thing was, when the moon tried on the dress and the tiara, they both fell off. It's like they were way too big. They were really, really baggy. And the son was really confused by this. He got out the tape measure and measured the dress. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep, so the dress had come out right. And then, of course, measured the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which of you told me 8?
6.
You were trying to tell me 6, were you? Who told me 8? Who told me that the moon was 8? Not the tape measure is saying 6. The tape measure doesn't lie, folks. Okay, look. All you need to do is remember the number 6. Do you think you can do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah.
Okay, get 6 fingers. Don't let those fingers down. Maybe scribble it down, etch it on a wall if you have to. Make sure you do not remember 6. Okay, 6 is the big number. All right. Dearie me. The sun, of course, still couldn't marry the moon. He was going to have to go down and find something else for her to wear that would be exactly size 6. Okay, I'm running out of ideas now myself. What else do women wear? We've had a hat already and a dress, but what else?
Shorts.
Shorts, someone said. Do women wear shorts?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm seeing lots of nods and things. Brilliant. Okay, so we'll take some shorts. We need some shorts that are exactly what size?
6.
6. Good, good, good. And what are we going to use to make these shorts then? Again, we can use absolutely anything in the world. Sam, have you got an idea for this one?
Fur.
What do we do? We've got an idea?
What do you think we could use to
What could you
make these
use?
shorts?
Huh?
Diamonds.
What could you use?
Diamonds.
That is a good suggestion from Max. Do you like the
I
sound
just
of
think,
diamonds,
no,
Sam?
I don't think he's going to
They're
say
very,
anything.
they're very shiny and nice.
They
and
are
No,
very
he's not
shiny,
going to
aren't
add to this one, I'm afraid.
No, well, that's fine. Diamonds is fine. We'll take diamonds. And, of course, if we are going to make a magic spell to create this, what are we making again? Oh, shorts. We're creating shorts that are what size? What size? Oh, 6. Yeah, I can see some of you holding up your fingers. Thank you. And we're making them out of diamonds. We're going to need a magic spell. So what rhymes with shorts?
Short sports.
Sports.
Court.
Sports. Courts.
Sports. Courts.
Oh,
Yeah,
sports is a good one. Yeah, I think I recognize that word. Let's go with sports then. Okay, so sports. The sun wiggled his fingers above all of these diamonds and said, these diamonds would be the prize in all sorts of sports, but now they will make some size 6 shorts. And boom, just like that, there were some diamond shorts that were exactly what size?
6.
6, exactly. So now the sun took this brilliant, sparkling pair of shorts all the way to the moon for her to try on. And put them on she did. But they were rather big for her. They were starting to slip down. Yeah, they were far too big. And the sun was really, really confused. He got out his tape measure. He was sure his magic had been fine. He measured the shorts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, they were definitely size 6. And then, of course, he measured the moon. 1, 2, 3, 4. Who told me to remember 6?
Not us. Who did?
Don't blame each other. Come on. Someone needs to just admit responsibility, okay? I asked you to remember the number 4 and you gave me the number 6.
Karen. You did. Karen.
Well, the sun now was extremely disheartened. It seemed his magic wasn't working, or his memory wasn't working, or something definitely wasn't working. He wasn't able to get some clothes to fit the moon perfectly, which meant he wasn't going to get to marry her, and that was so sad. It was such a shame. He really loved the moon, and he tried really, really hard. He'd gone all this time, and he hadn't given up, and she just kept changing, and he was never going to get that wonderful wedding he wanted. He'd wanted to give her such a beautiful wedding with a really huge, oh, what do you call it? That thing that's really big and like tiered and has all of the icing and the what do you call that?
Cake.
Oh, yes, that's absolutely right. Cake, isn't it? And he'd also wanted to have lots of, oh, what do you call it? That thing that people do at weddings, you know, where they hear lots of music and they move around. That's right, dancing. Yeah, he'd wanted loads and loads of that. He wasn't going to get any of that. He wasn't going to even get all of the people who were, oh, what do you call them? The people who you know, who come along and they come to the wedding, and that's right, yeah, friends. He wasn't going to get to have any of their friends come around to join in this massive party with them. And worst of all, he wasn't going to get to see the moon in her beautiful wedding dress. He was sure she would have looked wonderful in a wedding dress, the best bride the universe had ever seen, with a dress and what's that thing that brides sometimes wear over their head when they're getting married, that sort of thing that goes over, what do you call that?
I don't know what they're called, but it's like a tiara with like some cover on it.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? Sometimes there's a tiara that sort of holds it in place, and it's like a cloth, isn't it, that goes over your head.
Yeah, that.
What's that called? Does anybody know?
Not me. Veil.
Thank you. I think you are absolutely right. It's a veil, and I can even see John nodding. So yes, that must be right. If John's nodding, then you've got it. It is a veil. And as the son thought about this veil, he realized it's a piece of cloth that goes over your head. It's something that you wear over your head. Doesn't matter how big you are. It's always going to fit over your head. And so now the son knew exactly what he was going to get the moon to wear. He went back down to the world and he saw everything that was there, and he spotted the perfect material for a veil. It had to be the sea. The beautiful, shining blue sea. That would make a perfect veil.
You can't.
All he needed was a word that rhymed with veil. That's quite tricky, isn't it, actually? Let's maybe go
Rail!
with rail. Oh, you got that far quicker than I thought you would. Rail's good. Yeah, we'll go with rail then. Okay, so he got his fingers and started to wiggle. And he said, for the perfect clothing you would find on any rail, make for me a beautiful wedding veil. And poof, the whole of the seas, all of the seas in the world became a long, shimmering veil for the moon to wear. And when the sun took it to her, she realized she had to drape it over her head. Well, it stayed on, because that's what veils do. And as Max suggested, she also got the tiara from earlier and used it to kind of make a nice little frame at the front. It fit perfectly. What could the moon do now other than say, yep, she would marry the sun? And actually, now that she had seen how dedicated the sun was to her, how he had really worked hard to try and meet whatever she wanted, and how clever he had been choosing something that did meet her challenge, maybe she thought that there was a bit more to the sun than just good looks after all. So, yep, she was quite happy to marry him, really. And in celebration of that fact, if you look up into the sky, you'll notice that the sun and the moon, they're roughly the same size. I mean, don't look too closely at the sun, but if you ever see them, maybe in a photo, you'll notice that they are pretty much the same size, which is proof that they live in the same space. And you'll also notice that the moon changes her shape every so often, just like she did for the sun back then. The magic spell she cast to try and stop the sun from marrying her is still in action today. You can still see the moon changing shape. But that's not all, because since they had that wedding, the moon was so impressed with the sun's cleverness that she hasn't taken the veil off. She still wears it today. And as she goes traveling around the earth, she drags her veil with her. And you know that's true as well, because if you go down to the beach and you have a look at the water, you'll see that sometimes it goes out and sometimes it comes in. And exactly where it is all dependent on where the moon is in the sky. And if that isn't proof that you've just heard a true story, I don't know what is. Do you reckon it's a true story?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
I
Excellent.
believe everything you say, Chip.
As you should, John. Just like when I told you that I was your favourite storyteller. Thank you ever so much, everybody, for joining me here at the World Storytelling Cafe. I hope you've had a good time. I certainly have. Have you?
Well, give Chip a round of
Yeah.
applause.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much for choosing those stories tonight. It's been great.
Chip,
Yeah.
because you ran out of water, didn't you, there? If people want to buy you a glass of water, they can drop a little into the hat, can't they?
Oh, that would be lovely if they could. Yes, thank you.
So, but it's fantastic. And at the cafe next week for children at 4 o'clock every day, we've got a set from Monday to Friday. But on Friday at 6 o'clock on the children's evening, which is always on a Friday next week, we've got Clive Pigg. Really lucky. Clive will tell us stories and he'll sing us some songs. So
That's excellent.
have a lovely time. And Chip, if people want to see Chip again, you're on Tuesday night, aren't you?
I am telling a story on Tuesday, actually.
With your
Is
Kingdom
there a
1000 projects.
campfire
In fact, you're going to be telling stories every Tuesday night for about 12 weeks.
Something like that, yeah. And
Yes.
hopefully you're going to join me for some of those, aren't you, John?
I will be there.
Excellent.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you, Chip. And thank you all, Little Miracles, and DJ in New York, and Zuhar down in Morocco, and Mike on the edge of the fens. is not quite.
Half a chap.
He's not quite a Fenlander. He's got to go
Half
a
a
little north.
It's quite flat. Look,
Yeah, but it's flat enough to be the Fens.
It's not grey though, which is the important thing.
Yeah.
it's not.
Well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
And
Chip.
for
Thank you.
adults
Thank you,
over the
folks.
weekend, we've got a fantastic program. We've got Tidani at 2:00 tomorrow doing Hindu and English poems and stories.
John, hold on a second. Sorry, but I think people can still see me, can't you?
Yeah, we can see you. You haven't
And
got.
I think they should be seeing you if you're giving the program. Is it possible to?
they can see me.
Oh, they can.
Hold on. Yeah, I'm not surrounded by yellow, but it's
No,
okay. They can hear me.
Yeah, I think we need to be able to see you. Can we see John now?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
Zuhar. I think Zuhar's driving. Could you put a yellow line around me? Doesn't matter.
Okay.
I don't need to be big. But
I'll tell you what, I will
I've
try.
only got
I
a
will
couple
try and
more
speak
things
for
to
John.
say. Tomorrow night at 6:00, there's Maria Watton. But on Sunday, we have our 100th storyteller. And we've got a very special lady from Northern Ireland called Liz Weir. So that is a really special night. Well, at least it's a special night for Michael and me. And I'm hoping it's going to be a special night for everyone else who's watching. But thanks for now. Thank you very much. We'll see you again at the cafe. Thank you for joining us. Big applause for yourself. Clap for yourself. Clap for cheers.
John and Mike, can I grab you for a second?
Of course you can.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Hello, Sybil. Can just rest Oh,
So Mike and me will stay on for a minute.
Yeah, we'll stay on. Yeah, Yulia, could you stay on, please? Is Yulia there?
No, I think
I don't know if there's anyone else that needs, so I just want to get rid of some of my kiddies. Who else is here? With
We're also
mine?
still live. I don't know if someone's
it's all
around
right.
who can
It's okay.
stop that.
Yeah, can we stop that before we
There's
chat?
only staff and
I think what I'll do, Emily, is I'll start another Zoom in 5 minutes. Okay, I'll send you a private Zoom link. Is that okay?
Perfect. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's Michelle rather than Emily, but yeah, that'd be great.
Oh, sorry. Brilliant. Okay.
It's
Actually,
fine.
I don't think I have your email address, Emily.
Oh, Mike,
Could
I
you-
think I've got your mobile, haven't I?
Yeah, if you could text it to me, I'll send you a link very soon.
Perfect. And
Okay,
just
send
any
one-
of your
send
staff
one
who
to me,
need to
Mike.
chat to me.
John, I think with John and I, that would be great.
Yeah,
Speak soon.
perfect. Bye.
Right. So we're leaving for now.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Speak in a minute.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Chip.
Thank you.
Thank you.